Hello, how are you? Amanda, SEINT artist. We're going to talk about my top 3 brushes. It is the blush and bronzer brush, the detail brush, and everybody knows my ride or die blend brush. I made a video about my top 3 brushes years ago, and just recently somebody actually commented on this one asking why I don't recommend the 3D brush, and I'm going to tell you why, but I also want to show you my whys on these 3 brushes. Okay, using SEINT makeup, cream-based 3D foundation, 80% pigmentation, $16 a color. This is affordable makeup that gives you everything you want out of your makeup. You get coverage with less product on your face. You can do full coverage. You could do light coverage. You could just correct. This palette here is customized to my needs, and we can create a palette that is customized to make your needs possible. Everybody's are different. Makeup is not put in a box. It's put in a palette that's customized. So you get to tell me what you want out of your makeup. What are your concerns? And then we customize you a palette. And it doesn't even have to be this big. You can get a smaller one. You can get an 8. It holds 8 tins. There's sizes for everybody. There is a palette customized for everybody's tiny different needs. So let's dig into this. I'm gonna put on my favorite primer, Milk Hydro Grip, and we're gonna dig in to these brushes because I like to correct my stuff, my scarring, my hyperpigmentation, my under eye discoloration, but I also have fine lines, pores, lines, things. I don't have the injectable, so I have all the facial movement. And comes with facial movement are those fine lines that become memory lines, so they get deeper and deeper, and the pores get bigger and bigger. And anyways, we're going to talk about it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my blend brush. This is a good addition to your collection brush. What's nice is these can all become a one and done brush, but together I love these brushes, and I'm going to talk about why as I do each step. So right over here in my palette are my correctors. I've got Aspen, which is the color of concrete, for my redness. I've got Suede lip liner for my hyperpigmentation that's growing like ivy up my face. This helps camouflage that. Right here I have Daylily, but I also love pulling this off and using Frenchie as well and I like things that do more than one thing. Okay, so we're gonna go in with the blend brush on the fluffy end, and I'm gonna go into Aspen. Again, this is the color of concrete. So my whole thought process on this is it's gonna dull the red because gray dulls red, right? Gray dulls everything. So we're just gonna take this light brush and we're gonna go over the red. We're still gonna see my problems, but they're not red. And that's my why. You still see the stuff, but they're not red. You can use the fluffy end. You could also use this shorter end. I prefer this shorter end over the detail brushes because it's a little more fluffy. This one's a little more pointy and dense. But again, going over this red, and all I'm doing, look at how it just mute. Go into your creases here if you get red around the nose, broken capillaries, over the tip if you get red between your brows, over your brows, put it where you get red. I take what's left and I just go over it with the gray. Now the reason I like Suede lip liner and Aspen contour, of hair everywhere today, is because they're also dense. So Aspen is a contour and Suede is a lip liner, and they're both dense, which means when I put them there, they're gonna stay there, and if I lay anything on top, it's gonna hold it there. And it has that pigmentation, but I put this on so light, it doesn't leave a makeup texture whatsoever. And again, yes, you can still see my scarring spots, but the redness, the fire is muted down, okay? We're gonna go in with that same fluffy brush, and I'm gonna go into my Suede lip liner, okay? This is a little bit lighter than the contour I use, but again, it's dense, and with that density means where I put it, that's where it's gonna stay. So while we camouflaged and dulled the red, we're gonna camouflage hyperpigmentation. I have a really good one right over here. We're mimicking a color at this point. And this is my whys on everything. So we're gonna go around the hyperpigmentation and we're gonna bring it up. And we're gonna blend our skin into that color rather than making that color the color of our skin. Because if you're gonna try to make something dark light, it's gonna be a bit cakey, a bit chalky, and it's gonna give you texture. And we don't wanna do that. So instead, we're just gonna mimic the tone around it and make our skin that color, okay? Going in again, and we're gonna go in on the other side. You should never see clumping on your bristles. We're gonna go around this big bad boy here. We're gonna go around it and up. You're still gonna see it a bit, but we're gonna be camouflaging, but we're also laying a layer of dense product, a dense brown, similar tone, denser product, so that when I do put my color, my makeup on, it's gonna hold it right there. And those are the only places I put it because that's where my hyperpigmentation is. I also want you to see my neck is lighter than my face in general. And so we're able to use these colors to help bridge things together. Because if I turn my face this color, it's going to give me that chalky, thick look that's going to accentuate fine lines, okay? And then if I try to make this my neck color, it's gonna make it look orange. So I'm gonna show you how to bridge that. And again, that comes with using other brushes like the blush and bronzer brush. Okay, for my under eyes, I have mature under eyes. We all have this guy. This is a trough. We have an orbital bone here. We got an eyeball here. We got our soft hammock here. There's gonna be a dip, and we can't get rid of texture. Skin is a texture. Our skin has different levels of texture through breakouts, through whatever. We can't get rid of it. You can't make a mountain a plain, but we don't have to accentuate it in a bad way. We can enhance it in a nice way, and we can give it a more youthful look. We will still have this, but let's not accentuate it. Let's instead enhance the area. I'm gonna go into my balm with my finger. This is great because it's good for your lips, it's good for your under eyes, and this is gonna help with dryness. If you get dry, this is great for going around your nose if you need to. This is a really good product, and it fits right in your palette. Putting everything in here reduces your search time and your makeup. Did you know that when you're in a makeup bag looking for stuff, you're spending 70% of your morning digging through the bag in that morning of makeup? 70% of the time you could be spent drinking a cup of coffee before you go to work and maybe waking up a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna go into Daylily, and I'm just gonna press that over the balm into my inner corner here. I have darkness, and so this color is one mixing with that balm, and it's also giving me a canceling of that darkness under my eye. I like using Daylily or Frenchie. Everybody's different. This one is just in the winter. I find a duller color to be better for my under eyes. In the summer, I'll use Frenchie. Okay, I'm gonna scratch my nose because there's a hair somewhere. Okay, that's my correcting. That's how I do all my correcting. And that is my blend brush. And we're gonna table this one for a little bit and come back to it, and we'll talk about why. Now I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put my main highlight on. This is my foundation color. And this is gonna be the color that's truest to my skin. You don't need to put your makeup all over your face and turn it one color. A lot of people think, oh, I gotta cover all this stuff up, so I better put the color everywhere. You don't need to do that. Just cover what you need and let the other colors do the same, because everything in a SEINT palette is foundational coverage. Highly pigmented, foundational concealer coverage. Something in my hair. I saw it. I see it. I'm getting it. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go into my blush and bronzer brush. This is a good medium coverage brush. The other nice thing about this brush is this fluffy end here, because this end is gonna be what helps you bridge down if you over apply. Over applying can create texture. This is a learning curve. You're not used to using a highly pigmented cream. You could be used to a cream. I've used other creams. I've used Merit, I've used OG, I'm looking at all of them. I've used Hourglass, I've used other cream foundations. And if you're used to using those, it's still a learning curve with SEINT, because those are about 40% pigmentation and SEINT is still 80% pigmentation. You will not find an affordable, highly pigmented cream makeup like SEINT out there. Hourglass is a great dupe. Not $16. It's not. It doesn't clip into a palette. It doesn't. You're still in that makeup bag. Anyways, we're gonna go in. I am using June as my main color, and I'm just gonna stamp this in. Never sweep your brushes through. Always stamp them in and get that color on, all right? We're gonna put that color in. I'm gonna do this on the beard, and I'm gonna bring it up over my scarring for coverage. And so all I'm doing here is I'm wanting to balance my skin color and get a piece of, there we go. We're just going to bring that up and around, and I'm giving, look how it just erases, and I'm not worried about this discoloration right here. We're bringing this down into the nose and around the mouth, and we're gonna give our lower face balance, okay? We're giving ourselves some balance by putting this on the beard of our face, because you're not contouring this part of your face, you're not blushing, you're not bronzing this, you're balancing where there's discoloration, and build as you go. And then we're gonna go, I always start where the most discoloration is, so mine's right here on the outer part of my mouth and then my cheek, and then I blend it out over this little area, bringing it again down my chin, around the mouth, into that crease for last, not first, last, because I don't want cream to crease. That's gonna clump up and it's gonna look funny. And we're gonna just keep stippling this around. the more, sorry, I have a frog in my throat. But the more mature you get, the more movement you get on your face, the more fine lines, the more pores you're going to show. Stippling this and pressing this into your skin is the best option. If you find, which I do in this area sometimes, I do find that I over apply sometimes. And when you have a lot of movement here, it can move with it. I mean, it's your makeup and it should be living with your skin, not on it. Take this fluffy brush and stipple over it and it'll pick up excess and give everything a good little marrying. And then I just always bring my makeup down my neck. I don't apply it to my neck, but I do bring it down my neck. Okay, so we have our balance on, and that's where I stop with my main highlight. I don't turn my whole face one color, okay? Next I'm gonna go and I'm going to be using the same end of the blush and bronzer. We're gonna go into a brightening highlight. This is Sunlit, has correctors built into it, has yellow undertones. Everybody's different. Get your custom match. Send me your makeup-free selfie. We'll custom match it to you. I'm gonna take this color, I'm gonna go right here in the mid of my forehead. This is supposed to be lighter than your skin tone. And I bring this up and over my brows because I get redness in this area. And then I also want that brightness between the brows because it gives that illusion of reflecting light. Your face isn't one-dimensional. Putting your makeup on as if it isn't gonna do you any favors. It's just gonna create more product loss out of your palette, out of whatever you're using. Use it where you need it. But you're going to be taking and you going through this product faster if you're putting it in places that just aren't needed. So I put it on my high points right here on my Cupid's bow and right here on my chin where light reflects. I'm going to be doing my nose, but I get into that. Okay, easy peasy. Okay, we're going to switch to the detail brush because I'm going to go into contouring. I like this brush because it does have this nice small end for cleaning up, but it has this squared end right here. This is the perfect shape when you're getting into contouring or when you're learning Saint makeup and contouring. I'm gonna take this big end, I'm gonna go into Olive. Olive is one of my favorite contour colors, and I stipple this in. Now, contours are dense, so sometimes they take a little more work, okay? We have natural shadowing on our forehead. That's the first place I'm starting here. I have my brightening here, and then I am going to put some right here and right here. Okay, that's the most you're gonna see this on my forehead. I'm gonna bring this down to the outer part of my brow, up towards my hairline. Same over here, down towards the outer part of my brow, up towards my hairline, and then I just bridge over and I blend it together, and that's it. All I'm doing is giving myself foundational coverage, balance, and coverage. I'm gonna take this small end, and if I need to add, I will, but I'm just gonna take that brightening and I'm gonna blend it into that contour. So they're gonna come together and create balance. That's why I don't need to take that foundation and put it on my forehead. I'm gonna grab a little bit here. I have a little breakout. I did a facial treatment, so I'm very shiny today. Anyways, I did a collagen mask and it was wild, but I'm just gonna bridge that together and let them work together, okay? And that gives me the balance that I need. The other nice thing is I'm using the big end in these areas. I just turn it and make it skinny. I'm gonna grab some more of that olive, and I'm gonna follow my natural shadow here, but I'm gonna stay above it on my cheekbone. Okay, based off of your face is the way you're gonna angle your contour. Okay, for really long faces, you're gonna go straight. If you have a more round face, you're gonna go up and down in a curve. Heart-shaped faces too. It's all about your face shape and just trying different placements and finding the one that you like best. But I just bring this down, I smile. I like to bring mine to my apple so it has just a natural shadow to it, and it works with my hyperpigmentation. Ash, olive, and stone are really great winter contours that work well with hyperpigmentation. All right, grabbing some more, and we're gonna stay on that cheekbone above your natural shadow. As you blend this out, it naturally goes to that shadow. And then again, I smile, I lose volume in my cheeks. I'm 44, and so I'm just keeping that. Don't judge a makeup at this point. I've had a lot of people say that's not a good makeup, especially when I go live. At this point is when they're like, I don't like this makeup, it doesn't work for you. To be fair, I'm not done. Let me be done. You wouldn't be watching this if it didn't turn out great, okay? All right, we're going into the contour again, and this edge, this squared edge, is so good for contouring your nose. So I overcorrect, and I go on the top side of my nose, and I follow my natural brow. Top side, making just a big ol' 11, and this will help slim and straighten and hide things. I have a bump, and I use this to hide my bump, but it's also great for wanting to straighten your nose. Square off the tip, grab some more if you need to. This is a buildable makeup, but it's so simple and so forgiving. And then I stamp mine across, and this, I'll explain this later, but it's to correct my bump. I'm not even gonna say later because I'm gonna be explaining it right now. And again, just following that natural shadow to your brow. Look at that nose. We're gonna take this small end, we're gonna pinch it, and I'm gonna go into my brightening, and I'm gonna draw a line down the middle. I always get one of these going too. And then you could just take this into the mid of those brows, brighten up a little bit. That's why I like this brush. I like using my finger at this point. I think brushes can widen it. And so you just sweep this up and down and get it good and blended. Up and down. And that's my nose. I'm real particular about the way I contour my nose. All right, we're gonna grab a little more, and I'm just gonna chisel out my jaw here. I find that olive and ashen stone have a touch of warmth, and so I put this on my jawline and bring it down. This will help with bridging my neck to my face without turning my neck orange, but they do have a touch of warmth, so I don't need my bronzer. The difference is just warmth. This is my bronzer, and I really don't use a bronzer in the winter. I save it for summer because, again, I use a contour that has just enough warmth to touch it up, grabbing a little bit for a touch-up spot right there. Okay, so we're starting to see this come together. Super simple. This is the easiest makeup, and it's just about paint by numbers and putting it where it needs to be instead of everybody is so used to turning their whole face one color and then restructuring it. We're still doing that. We're just cutting out the covering our whole face in makeup. It's all the same placement and it's all the same things. You're just cutting out a big factor in the finish of your makeup and putting a full coverage, mattifying, stay all day foundation and then piling on a powder on top of it and restructuring. The consistency changes once you start adding those powder bronzers, powder contours, powder blushes. It's gonna thicken that makeup and it's gonna give it an even more dry look, which is gonna dry your skin and make it look more mature than it is. Okay, makeup should be enhancing the way we feel about ourselves, and it shouldn't look bad in an hour or two. And that's what changed it for me, was the way my makeup lasts. All right, I'm gonna go in and I'm going to put on some blush. I'm really particular. I'm gonna go into that same color here that I put under my eyes. I'm gonna put this right over my scarring that's peeking through. And I go along the top. And this, again, everything in here is foundational coverage. And so I just put that right over my scarring. And this is gonna work with my blush. So as you mature, again, I'm 44, so I know what I'm talking about. The volume in our cheeks goes down. I used to have a real baby face, nice plump baby face. And I remember at one point walking into a room with people I knew in high school, and they go, "Oh, you lost your baby fat." And I was offended. But also I understand, like, when I smile, I can see my apples. When I don't, I don't. So I like a light blush right there. I'm gonna go to another layer, and we are gonna use, ooh, this is baby watermelon. I love this color. I like pinks, but these are so pigmented, okay? So we don't need a lot. And I'm gonna pop this, I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna go at the top of my cheekbone here. That is a bright pink, okay? Bright pink working with that daylily. Smile and hit the tops. Don't go into this area here, because again, I want lift. Everything I do is for lift, okay? I'm gonna use my blush and bronzer, and I'm gonna start on that hot pink, and I'm just gonna lightly blend it out first up here. I even go into my temple, and then I'm gonna bring it down to that daylily. And it just ombres together. Take that fluffy end and marry it all together. Look at how pretty that is, okay? And I haven't even done my under eyes. Wait for these things to pop, okay? Flip your hair back and forth, and we're gonna go into that pink again, keeping it up high. This is gonna give the illusion that your cheeks are higher. And then again, smile and go into that daylily. Flip it, fluff it. Flip it and fluff it. Flip it and fluff it. If you have any pink left, I know some people like to put a little pink on the bridge of their nose. I don't know. I think I'm a little too old to be doing that, but you know what? I'm not old. So I can be pink adjacent. We're gonna stick with, we're gonna contour our lips. I like doing my eyes last. They're like the creme de la creme of the face, okay? I'm gonna take this edge here. I'm gonna go into my olive, and we're gonna go right here. We're just gonna make a little shadow. It's gonna make my lip look like it has a curl. Boom. Do you see how it looks like my lip created a shadow? But it didn't. Same with my upper lip. I'm gonna give this puppy a curl. We're gonna grab it, and I give myself a little Gomez Adams right here. Instead of outer lining our lips, let's just shadow them and make them look like they curl. Go right here in between the peaks. Look at that. Look at how it looks like there's a ledge. Now we're gonna add some structure, a little to our lips. We're gonna take the small end. We're gonna go into our brightening. I'm gonna go make a greater than, less than right here and here. It's really easy to do this because the color is too light for my skin. It really punches it up. So this is gonna create contrast with whatever lip color you do so that the lip color works just as much as contour. We're gonna take our little phalanges here. We're gonna tap these out. Oh, and we're gonna make sure it goes outside of that contour and then touches the outer corner of the lips. Do you see how my lips just almost look like they're going? Again, I don't use filler. You can see I don't use filler. These are my natural lips, and these give them a fuller look without outer lining and looking like we're outer. We know what that looks like. We know. I'm gonna go to a multitasker brush. I love this brush for the lips. And I am going to go into that suede lip liner. You can use your contour if you want. And now I'm gonna line the lips with this color. And this just creates a really good barrier if you have straw lines like I do and you're not doing the filler game. And this is just gonna make it so that your lip color doesn't bleed into them. It just basically creates a lipstick dam. And it's gonna make you go down, okay? And that's all we want, is that when I walk out of this room and I see my husband that's out there, and he's not gonna be mad that I was doing another makeup video on the weekend, he's instead gonna look at me and go, damn. That's the goal, right? That's the goal. All right, I'm gonna go into that blush color, that pink color, and I'm gonna put that on. Not a lot. Do you see? It was super punchy, now it's super light. Going up here, okay? Now when you're using suede lip liner, a satin lip and cheek, it's gonna look dry. Don't worry, we're gonna jazz it up. But I wanna go to my under eyes. So here's why I like these brushes. I'm gonna go to my blend brush, I'm gonna go to the small end. It's a bit more fluffy and wide than this brush. I like the shape of this brush for under eyes. This is a light application brush, and that is exactly what you want for your under eyes. Less is more. This is a high texture area no matter what you do. You can texturize a 4-year-old. I know, I got kids. And you could easily texturize this area by putting on too much product. I mean, this puppy moves, this squishes, this squeezes, this moves, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're talking, whether you're mad. This is a movement area, and you also don't want to be pulling and tugging. And so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take this little end and I'm gonna go into my brightening, okay? We are gonna stay away from the hammock first, okay? So this is a soft tissue area. And again, we are wanting to enhance, not accentuate. You see this natural shine? That's where this color goes. That's where it goes first, is right down here. And then outside of this trough, we go up and in, okay? Too light for our face. We want less. So we don't want this high texturizing color to texturize our under eye. I'm gonna live on this orbital bone, and I'm gonna add it right up here. And just tap and build as you go. Remember, 80% pigmentation. Now I'm gonna give my eye a lift right here by just adding a lift. I'm gonna take that fluffy end, we're gonna blend it into that blush. Now, I'm going to go onto that soft tissue, and I'm gonna blend it up and into that soft tissue. I'm not gonna go to my lashes because I'm making a smoky eye. You can clean up your eyeshadow because I did my eyeshadow first, so I can over apply under my eye, and this is where I can clean it up. Take that fluffy end and clean up right here, bridging that nose contour to that under eye. The texture is still gonna be there. Again, we can't erase it, but we aren't going to accentuate it. We're enhancing our under eye. You see how it just brightened and lifted my eye? That's what I'm gonna do over here. You didn't realize how much you needed it until you did. Do you need a brightening? Can you do this with your main highlight? 100%. 100%, totally can. All right, we're gonna go in to that brightening again, go into that reflecting light, and we're gonna enhance it. We're gonna stick outside of that trough, going up and up that orbital. Clean up that eye, give it a little lift. Again, marry it to that blush. up into that inner corner, marry it into that contour, and then we go onto that soft tissue. You just build that into that soft tissue and you tap it because we don't want to move it. We just want to tap it and we want to let that corrector and that balm go together with it. And it's that touch you didn't know you needed. Do you see how this all comes together? We're going to set it. So why don't I recommend the 3D brush? Because this was this was a question I got asked and I thought it does deserve its own tutorial. My 3 favorites need their own video again. And why? I love this brush and it is a great one and done brush. But these brushes together accomplish more. You get the more out of your makeup. This is a medium to full coverage brush. So if you want the opportunity to go light, it's a little harder with this. Plus it's a large brush. So if you want to get into little nooks and crannies, it's hard with this brush. You got to do a lot of manipulating and pinching, which that's fine. If you want one brush, you can. I will always recommend these 3 on almost every color match because I feel like you're kind of put into a box when you go with this brush. I love this brush, and when you love this makeup and you're really familiar with it, I think it's great to have a one and done brush. I just think this is great for contouring. This is a really great brush for getting into contouring and getting into things that you need to get into. This is a great learning to apply creams and being able to build it down and to marry everything together. This is your best friend. This used to be called the best blend forever brush because this is the best brush. Hands down, it is the same as this brush. I mean, it's a bit bigger, but it does the same thing, but you don't get this with this. And I love this. And you can do the contouring you can with this. You can pinch and get it. You can manipulate, but this brush has this, and it's so good. This is a addition to the collection. If you didn't want to get 3, just 2, it's these 2. This brush is my favorite for correcting, for light coverage. This is my under eye forever brush. I love it so much. It's also a brush I go to where I apply nothing, and if I feel like my makeup needs resetting, without applying product, I can tap this in areas and press it back out, which is nice because there's not a lot of makeups out there that give you the ability to press out if you notice cracking and gathering. And if you do notice that, you've over applied, but you can reset it. You can't do that with other concealers and foundations. All right, I'm gonna take the Blue Marble setting spray. I need to get more. It's a film forming spray rather than a hydrating spray. Spray this. Focus on the sides of your face. Think about where you find wear on your makeup the most and hit that. I talk on my phone, which will pick up my makeup. So if you notice that your cheeks just don't stay, are you resting your hand a lot? Is your phone going there? There's that. All right, I'm gonna go into my palette again. We're gonna go into this powder right here. This is the blotting dust on the fluffy end. I'm gonna grab this on. You can do this with this brush or the blend brush. I always tap it down so it goes into the brush. I start where my least amount of texture is first and I work my way in. But these brushes by far are my dynamic duo. If I'm traveling anywhere, those are the 3 brushes that are always with me. I don't travel with a 3D brush because I'm not looking to use a one and done brush. But I just bridge this around, bring it down, and when I think my brush is empty, that's when I'll hit my under eyes. And then you can go over again with your setting spray if you want. If you notice you have a powdery texture, powder will always change the consistency of your makeup. It's a thickening agent. It's powder. Go over with setting spray one more time and it will erase the texture. Grab a different brush if you want. I'm just using the fluffy end of my blend brush and just go over those high texture areas to reduce the texture that powder can give. But that's it. Those are my 3 favorite brushes and why I have, I'm doing it. 3 favorite brushes and why I'm not recommending it. It's not that I don't like it. I do like it. I do love it, but these are my home. This is my home base, are these 3 brushes. And that's why I think this is a great one and done brush. A lot of people love it. I believe it's a fan favorite. I believe it's a top seller, but I like what I like and why. I mean, I'm right about Aspen. I'm right about, look at the coverage I have and remember what I looked like at the beginning. I like what I like because it works. This works too. This works better. Start with these 2, add this one later. I don't know, but also this is your face, this is your makeup, this is your palette, this is your bag. Up to you on what you want. This is a good brush, but this is my home. This is my home. This is where I started, so this is my home. So that's it. That's why let's jazz up our lips. Woo, I was gonna say have a good day, but it ain't time. I'm gonna grab a lip oil, and I'm gonna grab my, I'm torn. I already got some color. So we're gonna go into the marshmallow lip oil. Any of the lip oils will work. I keep one in my car. I keep one in my swim bag because in the summer you don't want things melting. This is in a tube. And I'm just gonna add that to the middle. And I'm hydrated, I'm glossy, and it didn't change the look of my lip color. Okay, now you can have a great day.